What's up, guys? It's Ray J back with another video. And in this one, I want to talk about something very important about the technicals for Tesla stock. I'm going to break down some things about SPY and the QQQ and then answer the question: is the squeeze we're about to possibly see going to be lasting a long time, or is it going to be very, very temporary, right? And just keep in mind, I can't make promises about the squeeze yet until we get confirmation. If we hold some key levels, then yes, we could push higher. And then if that happens, the question is, will the squeeze last, or is it going to just be another temporary pump before another big dump? I'll give you guys more insights about this and make this very simple to understand. So just know I'm not a financial planner, so take nothing I'm saying as financial advice. And also, if you guys can, please check out my Moomoo link. If you deposit $100, you're guaranteed 5 free stocks. If you deposit $2,000, you're guaranteed 30 in total. And the offer ends very soon at the end of March. So one thing worth mentioning is that although the market's trying to bounce right now, especially as we're seeing some good catalysts, such as the fact that the government shutdown is going to be avoided, keep in mind there's lots of external factors that affect the markets that we can't always predict. And there's a lot of other things we have to consider. So, for instance, okay, right now, consumer sentiment is still very weak. There's fears of a recession. We have JP Morgan's chief economist saying there's about a 40% chance of that potentially happening. And then there's also some fears about inflation going up with these tariffs being imposed, and also because of other supply chain disruptions that are going on. So keep all of that in mind, right? That does not necessarily mean that the recession is guaranteed, because what typically happens during recessions, you want to see a big spike in unemployment and 2 consecutive negative GDP quarters. As of right now, we haven't gotten that. That hasn't happened yet, but there is potential for it to happen in the future given what's happening in the economy. We also need to see what happens with business profits. Profit margins typically go down when we get close to recessions, or if we're in a recession. We're not seeing that yet. So it is possible that these claims about a recession are premature. Donald Trump is saying that there's not going to be a recession, despite the fact that there should be pain coming because of the tariffs for the short term, but he doesn't think it's going to be that extreme. So please keep all of that in mind. So, what do I think is going to happen to the market? I want to make this very clear. Donald Trump has an intention, which is that he wants the Fed to eventually cut rates. Okay. And this is what Trump's administration wants. This is what the US government wants. Why is that? Because the government has so much debt, right? It has trillions and trillions and trillions of dollars in debt. And then they have to pay interest on the debt. If you look at, for example, our treasury yield, the Fed has been cutting, but this is still elevated, right? Despite the fact that the Fed's been cutting for months. I think they started cutting back here. The Fed was cutting and cutting and cutting, but we still started to see these yields go up. This was happening as a result of higher inflation, and because of the fact that we started to see a shift in the overall overflow of money, as money still entered stocks as the market was going to like all-time highs, and it wasn't really disrupting these yields, right? So an economic contraction event, whether it's because of tariffs, or if we get closer to like a recessionary environment, that could be what brings the yields down. Also, like if inflation starts to cool off, that could be another factor. But Donald Trump knows this, right? He realizes that the government has so many expenses, and then the interest on their loans is just insane. It's absolutely insane. So to bring down all of this, it may require some temporary pain. That's why Donald Trump mentioned that he is not looking at the stock market and this and that. So I personally think that the pain is not over yet, right? Donald Trump is going to be announcing more tariffs in April. He's going to be talking about other things affecting us. There's going to be more recessionary fears coming as the months progress, especially because of the high interest rates that are still affecting our economy. And then with layoffs potentially increasing, this could also cause unemployment to start spiking. That could also contribute in a lot of different ways. So, Donald Trump can't control Jerome Powell. He's not a puppet in that sense, right? Donald Trump he's not able to pull every string, but he can indirectly incentivize the Fed to cut faster. Donald Trump said, and there's a quote from him, that nobody makes money in high interest rate environments. So he wants Powell to cut, cut, cut. To do that, we may have to see some kind of contraction. We have to see some pain coming to our economy. That could cause the Fed to cut even faster. Yes, if inflation starts dipping even more, then the Fed could start cutting as well. That's another reason. But I think that the Fed is going to be very patient right now. There's about a 50% chance that they're going to be cutting, or they won't cut in March. depending on all this news. So what does this mean for the markets? I think that's the question a lot of people are watching for. Right now, let's delete all of this. Okay, let's start from scratch. Right now, the chart's bearish. We're making lower highs, lower lows. There's no sign of a reversal. However, one thing you have to know is that even if the charts are bearish, let's go back to like 2022, for example. There were instances where the market still saw these runs before it started to dump, right? Another example is if you look at Tesla, the same thing was going on with Tesla stock. Let's go back on the chart like this. Even though Tesla had moments where we saw downside, it didn't just dump in a straight line. Okay, there were instances where Tesla ended up trying to hold support. So we dumped all the way down, for example, to 295 during one instance. We pushed back up to 400, dumped back down to 232. Then we pushed back up, then we dumped. So the market has tendencies of getting kind of bounces, just like this. So in this case, is Tesla going to get a bounce? It depends. Okay, first off, the first thing you need to watch for, and we're going to take this one day at a time, is can we see a hold above 250? If so, yes, we could do that. If we hold above 250, I'm looking for 260 to the 270s to be coming pretty quickly. But when you look at this, even if we do get that bounce, we still have this trend line acting as resistance where Tesla keeps rejecting off of. We need to break this for us to truly turn bullish. We're not ready for that yet. So when you look at this, at least from a Fibonacci retracement standpoint, just like this, you will notice that our 0.5 fib level and 0.618 area, very close to the golden pocket, aligns with our 200 EMA near 300. So, I'm not saying Tesla has to bounce that hard. It's a little hard to predict that because it depends on like FOMC, which is going to be on Wednesday. It depends on what Tesla announces. But what typically happens is we might see a temporary move higher. If Tesla holds above 250, we're looking for like the 270s. That's going to take us up to like the 0.382 fib level. Maybe it goes a little bit higher back up to where this trend line is around like the 290s. Maybe it goes a bit higher. Who knows? But for now, the trend suggests that there's going to be another rejection move, and we could see this thing potentially bottom out in April. And why do I say that? Because that's what the trend suggests right now. If we break past the trend line and we get back above 300, we hold that, then we could remain bullish and continue to go. But for now, there's no confirmation yet. So this is what the trend is suggesting for now. That we pump temporarily, then we get another rejection move. It's also worth mentioning that Tesla has a big support at the 200 to 215 area. If that doesn't hold us, I'm looking for this low here in the 180s. So I'm going to be watching for each of those, whether it's 200 or 180. So watch that closely. So for now, my presumption is that this is going to be a temporary bounce. My opinion could change depending on factors, but just keep in mind that for the time being, some catalysts such as the government shutdown being avoided, maybe a ceasefire between Russia and Ukraine, and the possibility of Tesla announcing a cheaper model could help the share price push a bit. When it comes to the cheaper model, I don't think Tesla's confirmed it yet, but there's some sources like Reuters saying that that could be coming. So it could take us to a very, very temporary push, right? We could see a temporary push on Tesla if we hold above 250. But then this temporary push could just be a temporary move. And then when Donald Trump starts announcing more tariffs again in April, that's when Tesla tends to bottom. Then we could be forming a better temporary bottom possibly in April. That's when Tesla tends to bottom. And then around that like May to June period, we tend to run a lot. We might see a lot of upside during the summertime because Tesla has the unsupervised FSD catalyst. A month before, that's when it really may start running. So that could be when we start to see a big reversal. So for now, I'm going to make this very clear. Could we bounce? Yes. If we hold above 250, we need confirmation first, but we could get a temporary bounce move. But the bounce is just temporary as of right now. There's still a lot of contractions that could be coming to the economy. And don't forget that Donald Trump's tariffs are not over. We may temporarily see him not really talk as much about them or impose as many because he's not scheduled to do that as much until like April. I think April 2nd is the big date coming next. But it's just a temporary move to the upside we're seeing. Looking at SPY, it's the same setup. Okay, we've been dumping like crazy. We are due for a small bounce, I would argue. The first thing is you want to see us break above and hold above 565. If we could hold that, I'm looking for 575 to pretty easily come. And then whether we go higher or not depends, but I wouldn't be surprised if, so let's just say we do hold above 565 hypothetically. I'm looking for like this 575 to 580 area. We could be looking for a move up there. It depends. It really depends on how well we hold above the 580s. There's also this zone worth watching for around 590. There's an imbalance up there, so I don't know how high we're gonna go. But one thing I do want to tell you guys is that I think that we will eventually come down to this gap fill, and also this support zone, which is going to be very close to about 535 to 540. I think we're going to be testing this in maybe in April. We might be coming back down here. So I don't know how high we go. It depends on the ceasefire. It depends on Jerome Powell. I really don't know how high we're going. I have to watch this one day at a time. But once we get this pump, we'll be watching to see if we get reversal signals because I believe we will eventually return to 535. Maybe in April, there's a good chance we do return down here before we see another like big bounce like that. Um, Another bounce, and then we could continue to see what happens from there. But I'm looking for a move like this. Now, how high do we go? I just don't know yet. Could we get stopped at 575 if we do get the bounce? Do we get stopped at 590? It all depends on Jerome Powell and these different factors. We're still trying to determine that. But I'm just trying to tell you guys that right now the trend is bearish. So even if we do make another bounce move, the trend suggests we will be continuing to fall. Unless we hold above 600, that could change things. But for now, this is what the trend is looking like after so much downside, right? That is what's looking very probable. The QQQ has the same setup. Let me just delete my scalp lines. So I'm looking at for some key levels. One thing worth mentioning is we have a very, very key level at 450 on the triple Q. That is the previous all-time high, previous resistance becoming support. We also retested this, so this is a very, very big, this 450 area. So I think we might return there. For now, we're watching to see if we get some kind of like retracement move. So if we end up coming back down like this, if you look at our fib levels, you guys could quite clearly see that if we get some kind of bounce and we get back above like 484, we're looking for 495 to 500 as our resistances. That's going to be where our 200 EMA happens to be. And then if we do get some kind of temporary bounce, we'll see if we get some kind of rejection move. So watch and see how this ends up going. We could be looking for 494 as a potential target. There's no confirmation yet. I want to see us hold 480 first. If that holds, I could be looking for the 490s. If not, we could be going as high as like this resistance here towards 500. It all depends, guys. It depends on FOMC and these other factors just to see how high we go if we go up to like the 490s to 500 area. But for now, that might be just a temporary top before we start to contract and see another move back down in April, whether it's because of Trump's new tariffs he has reciprocal tariffs coming out soon and more fear about the economy that could dump us to like 450 or so for another leg down. Then we might get a temporary move up during the summer period. Before we see even more declines. So it depends. I don't know if we stop at like 490, if we go all the way up to the 500s. It all depends, guys. But I'm looking for a move like this, at least for now. And then this could be, this could cause further declines by like the fall season. But we're looking for moves like this. So for now, this is what the trend suggests. Could my mind change? Yes, it could change depending on what we hold. But I just want to make it very clear. I don't believe the downside is done yet. Okay. I don't believe it's done yet. If you look at how SPY is looking, it depends on how high we go. Same thing with Tesla. The Tesla trend looks a little bit better because you have to consider we still have this trend line acting as resistance. If we break that, then yes, my view could change. If Tesla gets back above 300 and we continue to close above it, then this could remain bullish. But for now, that's not looking as probable because of the fact that the news was so negative. We've priced in a lot of that negative news, but will we get more negative news in the future? I wouldn't be too surprised if that happens for Tesla. One bad thing I want to say is that, and this is my honest assessment, even though Tesla may bounce for now, it's awesome. Yes, I'm very bullish for the long term. There might be a temporary bounce, but there's no guarantee we're done with the downside because Elon Musk is saying that the reciprocal tariffs could be affecting Tesla as well, causing the prices to go up. That could also affect demand. So if Donald Trump announces more tariffs, that could be a little negative for Tesla. So that's the reason why I'm arguing that the downside might not be done yet. When it comes to investing long term, this is not financial advice, but my strategy is just dollar cost average at good buy levels. If a stock appears undervalued, you just why not enter it at particular levels? So like for me, 220, 200 are some good buy zones. Under 200, we're looking for like 180, then 150. I'll just slowly dollar cost average because I think that these are good buy zones for the long term. So I'm not scared. No matter how low it goes, I will continue to dollar cost average because I know we will make a full recovery once I give this the time it needs because I see so much value in this stock for the long term. Okay. So for the short term, this is what the trend suggests. This is just a temporary squeeze that we could be seeing if we hold above 250 on Tesla. But then, even if we do squeeze higher, there's going to be a risk of rejection if we end up hitting this trend line, because that's what the trend suggests. All right. I hope this is as clear as possible, guys. I don't want you guys to get the wrong idea that I'm extremely bullish. I think we're going to new all-time highs to Tesla, for Tesla, or anything like that. I just want to be very unbiased with my analysis. I tend to take it just one day at a time. So watch my intraday videos, watch my videos coming out throughout the week. I'll give you guys updates about the markets then. And then when you watch my videos, you will see what I see at least on a daily basis. I also want to note that I'm going on a trip this weekend, so I'm not going to be available during the morning time on Sunday. I might be available during the afternoon, if not evening. So if you don't see another video from me for a long time, it might just be that I'm busy from the trip. So don't panic, guys. I know a lot of people get worried sometimes if I don't upload a video. So I'm going on a trip. I should be back by Sunday evening, and I'll try my best to upload another quick video. Um, so if you don't see me for a while, don't panic, and I'll see you guys very soon. Enjoy the weekend, guys. I appreciate you guys so much for listening. Thank you so much, and peace out.